Leslie Wessel, it reminds me, like her story reminds me of like someone who went to Harvard, like just
That's very
like,
nice.
well, I mean, you've been around those kinds of people is who you have been mentored by.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if you could compare their real estate businesses to a school, a college, they would be at the top.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome everyone to the Mortgage Punk Show. I've got a special guest on this episode, Leslie Wessel. She's from Coldwell Banker in Wichita, Kansas, and she is a rock star. Or you wouldn't be here.
Well, thank you.
That's the name of the game for this podcast. Leslie is only rock stars because it has to fit the brand.
It fits your brand.
So,
all right.
If you're on here, you're a producer and you have an incredible business, which I know you do, but I want you to share it with the world. So. We've been talking about Facebook, and for those of you watching, me and Leslie are in the Generation X. I don't know if you've heard of that. That it's starting to become more ancient. I know the popular ones are Y and Z, and I don't. Do you know what the next one is?
A. My kids are Gen A.
Oh, it's A, Alpha. Gen A, Alpha. So we're Gen Xers, which means we're 80s kids, and Facebook was like a big deal for us. And before Facebook was actually MySpace. But you're telling me you did not have a MySpace page.
I had a very conservative childhood, so it wasn't until I got to college that
Did you know what it was?
I'd heard of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wasn't into it.
It was like...
We had like one computer in the basement. We had to like dial up and kick your 4 siblings off. Like there was no time for MySpace.
20 minutes
I think I MSN... instant message my friends.
Right.
Like I remember that world. And so the whole sound. I played that sound for my kids recently.
What did they do?
They were like, I was like, that's what you knew you were connecting to the internet. They just, they just look at you like you're a dinosaur. So.
Do you know, I just heard the other day that there's a news announcement about the last dial-up modem.
I didn't know AOL was still around. It was AOL. They're finally getting rid of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Have completely done away with dial-up internet service.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know they still had dial-up.
Dominic had a lot of questions because he read that article and then was asking me what dial-up was, who's still on it. And I was like, I don't know. I didn't know this was still supported.
Yeah, me neither. So, but all I remember is it took like, I don't know, what was it? You think 5 minutes to log on to the internet?
It felt like forever. Yeah, and you had to have a dedicated phone line.
Mm-hmm. Plug it into your phone jack in the wall. Right. Nobody even knows what that is. So my parents did get a dedicated phone line like in one spot in the basement. So that was our internet computer to go check your Hotmail, get on MSN and instant message your friends. That's funny.
So, I mean, but I was the first one of my kids to have a cell phone. Of my family, I was the 4th out of 5. And I got a cell phone my senior year of high school.
What year was that?
Like the Snake. 02. 01, 02.
01, 02. Okay. So. I sold cell phones out of the back of a minivan.
This sounds sketchy.
It wasn't.
Did you steal them first? Did they fall off the back of a truck?
Right. It actually wasn't it wasn't a minivan. It was a full-size van, and they had sirens. That's also a concept.
Kids don't know what that is anymore. A full-size van.
A full-size van?
Kids don't know what that is anymore.
Yeah. That's probably true.
Yeah.
That was like my first sales gig, Leslie.
Okay.
Like it was like sort of, I think maybe I was a senior or right out of high school.
Okay.
It was when cell phones started to become more of a commodity that everyone could afford.
Yes.
And so like it was kind of those primitive years where like, okay, sign everyone up now for a cell phone because everyone's getting them now. And so there was a company in town that was like a broker for Cellular One, which Cellular One is now today Verizon.
Yeah, yeah.
And I would literally go, Leslie, I had a van. It was all logoed out all over the place, had yellow sirens, and I would park it. I had a designated spot. It was here in Derby. I parked it right in front of Subway, and I sat in the van with the siren going, and so that people could know they could go buy their cell phone and sign up and walk away.
Yeah. And they could, 10 cents a minute. And yeah. There was no games.
That's how I did it. And I had a fax machine in the back of the van. And I would fax the paperwork in that they would sign. Was it still
like the ribbon kind? Not even like the individual pieces of paper? Like the...
Right. Oh my gosh. It was so funny. I can't believe I did it. Do you know who Ben Henwood is?
Yes.
So he did that too.
Oh, really?
I did not know that.
That's funny.
And I was...
it creates characters, apparently.
Not
just create a character, but create characters.
Yeah, that is a trend, I would say, between him and I.
Catch on to this, yeah.
That's so funny. So yeah, that's how me and Leslie grew up. We were introduced to cell phones, Facebook, and it was very like cutting edge, like big time technology. And but on MySpace, it was like Facebook, but you could customize the whole look of it.
Right. There was music that played, like, you had your music and then top 8 friends. I remember these things.
Because when Facebook came out, I was like, man, that's really boring. It's just blue.
Right. My high school best friend will probably call me and go, no, you had a MySpace. And I'll be like, I forgot, but I really don't think I did. She remembers more stuff than I do. She's amazing.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your upbringing? Where are you from? Where'd you grow up? What was your childhood like?
Well, my childhood was interesting. It always is, right? I would call Abilene, Kansas home. I was there from the time I was 3. So God bless Dwight D. Eisenhower. And it's a total tourist trap of a town. And I love it for that. That high school best friend I'm talking about does the convention and visitor bureau. She's fantastic. Our town is awesome. So, but I graduated from Chapman, which is the town next door. And they are arch rivals.
Okay.
Crazy arch rivals.
Arch rivals all the way across the board,
all
or like
across
sports,
the board. Sports, everything. It's the oldest rivalry west of the Mississippi.
Is it really?
Like yeah, it was brutal.
Do you know what that goes back to? Like, what's the?
Yeah, hundreds.
Where's the fight? Where did the fight start? I guess.
Well, it's the 2 biggest towns within our county, and so Chapman was the county school. Okay. And so Abilene just basically did Abilene, which is this cute little town, pretty good size 4A school. I think they're probably still 4A school. And then Chapman collected everyone else in the county and still does. It was a Dickinson County Community High School. And so there's just kind of this rivalry, I think, between those 2 towns. They shared a river. I don't know. But the rivalry was intense. And so to switch from being an Abilene kid to then just go to school in Chapman, and actually all of me and all my
went
siblings.
To the dark side.
Oh, yeah. It was brutal. So, but I love Chapman. I love the community. It was the largest, like, I think, FFA chapter in the state. So, I mean, kids came into school. They went to work. They had guns hanging in the back window. They had hunted on their way in. I mean, they were wearing Carhartt when it wasn't cool because they probably birthed the cow that morning. Funny. My kids wear Carhartt now. I'm like, I would
as a fad, as a, like
I
a
went
fashion,
to Bradley Fair like 2
design.
Weekends ago and bought Carhartt.
Isn't that
like,
crazy?
Mind blown. I spent a lot of money on Carhartt.
That's so
anyway,
funny.
Actually, I didn't. My daughter bought it, but she spent her own money on Carhartt, which I wouldn't have done.
That's funny.
So anyway, yeah. So that was childhood. So graduated there, very cool. Nerd all the way through. I was born in Colorado Springs, so my heart is in the mountains. But I was raised.
How
in
did
Kansas,
you get?
So my parents.
There? Yeah.
My parents are Western Kansas kids.
Okay.
Moved to Colorado, which was my mom's dream, live in Colorado Springs.
Oh, wow.
And then my parents' businesses were bringing them back to Kansas. Okay. So my mom was raising lots of kids. I was 4 or 5. And so dad was just constantly in Kansas. And so finally just said, hey, we're gonna go back to Kansas.
For what business?
Amway.
Is that right?
God bless.
No joke.
And then he got into the Greyhound business as well. So, which is based in Abilene, Kansas. Not much of an economy anymore, but it was quite the thriving business when we were kids. So
yeah, the Amway conferences.
Well, my parents were the diamonds that were the entire organization leaders for this part of the country.
Really?
Yes. So,
that
was on the board of Amway when I was a kid. Like I remember hanging out with the DeVosses. I flew down to Orlando and I met Shaq because he repped because they owned the Orlando Magic. Amway did. So
did your mom and dad do this together?
Yes,
they did it together.
It's the entire business. They still do.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
wow.
So I grew up with basically the positive I would take from it was the positive mental attitude.
You had
side.
Sales, right? Sales driven, entrepreneur driven
connecting people. Loving on people, seeing the diamonds in the rough. Is everything about it positive? Did I ever sell Amway? Did I ever do it? No, I didn't. But that's
probably picked up some good stuff. I'm sure.
I mean, you can only read Norman Vincent Peale so many times as a kid. My broker asked me if I read that book the other day. He's like, Leslie, you need the power of positive thinking. And I was like, oh, I've read it.
That's amazing. I did not know this about your story.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm asking you this question because I did not even know that.
So then they also had the Greyhound farm and they were the largest at some point, probably a lot of the point in my childhood, the largest producers of greyhounds in the entire world. And usually like top racers. Is
that what moved your family back to Kansas or Amway?
No, Amway did.
Amway did.
And then my dad, they were trying to be settle in Salina. That's where a lot of his business was. And Abilene's 20 minutes over. And mom wanted a smaller town. Great, fine. My dad is born farmer, right? Cattle, loves animals. He's now in his 70s and he has a Wagyu cattle business. Like, just born entrepreneurs. He met all these Greyhound people. It's what people did. It was the largest. It's the Greyhound capital of the world. and it's where the National Greyhound
Abilene is?
Yes.
Abilene is?
Yes, and it's the National Association of Greyhounds. People came from all over the world to race there. It was the epicenter of the greyhound racing business in the U.S. There was more greyhound farms per capita than anywhere else in the world.
So then you grew up around some money and success to a degree.
Yeah, to a degree. I grew up around a lot of business. I think serial entrepreneurs,
right?
You're good at making it.
Yep.
And
then you get into greyhounds, and then you do some farming,
you do some investing,
this venture, that venture.
Some don't.
Yeah.
So so yes, my parents are on stage and we're singing, the national anthem, and we're meeting Lee Greenwood and meeting presidents and this really weird childhood when we were at the conferences.
Right.
But at home we lived in a double wide trailer.
Are you serious?
Except we had greyhounds. I mean, we covered in scratches and raised and picked up poop and worked with the farm and raised meat. So we were a business, And so then I would tell people I was a farmer. Well, I wasn't really a farmer, and from a Kansas perspective, we didn't have wheat, we didn't have combines, we didn't have cattle.
Right.
I just never really felt like I lived in any world. We weren't, and my parents kind of wanted that. They kind of wanted us to be counterculture.
How many do you have siblings?
4.
Okay.
2 brothers, 2 sisters.
2 brothers, 2 sisters.
Yeah.
Are you close?
I'm pretty close with my sisters.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are they all here or scattered or half
we're not
here?
from here. We're all in Kansas.
Okay,
my
all
brothers,
in Kansas.
We're all in Kansas, which I tell my parents they're pretty blessed at that, because when I talk to people with big families, they're like, well, this kid's in California, this kid's in here. Yeah, they're trying to figure out if they're going to stay here or they're going to, So my brothers live up near my parents, and then my sister, one lives here in the Rose Hill area, and she runs Canna Counseling, marriage and family therapist.
Okay.
So very different.
Yeah.
So
that's
she's
cool.
very successful in her own right. Her husband, kids, they're all in Rose Hill. And then my other sister is actually a realtor in Manhattan, Kansas. My oldest sister, so it's funny.
I wouldn't know her.
No, probably not.
She's in Manhattan?
Yeah, okay. Manhattan. So I was a realtor first, which is funny being the baby sister. Mm-hmm. So I'm the baby sister, but in real estate, I'm kind of the big sister. So we have some interesting dialogue. Our businesses are very different. How we run our things are very different. We're very different humans, right? And came at it from a different reason, a different perspective. But we both have found some success in it. Laura does very well. Yeah. So if anyone needs a realtor in Manhattan, let me know.
I've heard that Manhattan's. Yeah. Manhattan and Lawrence are both.
Yeah. So, you have the school, you've got the bio, towns. You've got just growing like crazy. And they definitely, their houses have always cost more than ours, So there's a lot of great things going on out there. So, she's right in the middle of that. But so that's my sisters. And
so my grandpa owned the electric company in Abilene.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only, to my knowledge, he's the only entrepreneur type in my family.
Okay. Yeah.
That
what was the electric company in Abilene that he owned?
It was called Cookin' Electric.
Okay.
I don't know when he sold it.
Like electrician company?
Yeah, like KG&E.
Oh,
here,
okay.
The electric company. Well, I know he collected he was really big about collecting Indian artifacts, because he eventually moved to New Mexico. Really
I didn't know you had an Abilene connection either. So so I didn't really go to school there. I didn't finish out there, but that's what I would call home. That's where my parents live.
My mom grew up there.
Okay.
Because of that. And I don't know anything of it because I was born and raised in Metro Wichita. Yes. So what were you like, Leslie, in high school? You said you were a geek.
Yeah, well,
what does that mean?
I don't know.
Nerdy. What's nerdy?
I wouldn't call
what does that
geeky.
mean? You got good grades?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. God, I was nerdy.
A student.
A+.
A++ student.
Yeah. Still mad I got salutatorian.
Oh my God. Were you the class? Is that what you were? You made okay.
Yeah. I think the person. Well, I'm fairly certain she went on to work for NASA. The person I lost to, so it was probably Wolf. Because a realtor does not need to be. Does not need to be valedictorian in their class.
That is interesting. So one thing I've noticed about people who own businesses and tend to lean towards entrepreneurship in some way, shape, or form, it seems like there's 2 crowds of them. There's super, super duper smart ones,
right?
Like the kind that some of them go on to be, on Wall Street, that sort of thing, that kind of smarts. And then the totally opposite side of the fence, which would be me, drop out. I didn't drop out, but I just wasn't.
I've always known I broke that tradition, but I think the entrepreneurial side of me came from my parents. Small business. They always wanted all of us to run small businesses. My dad's siblings all have businesses. Does that make sense? All small business, nothing, super crazy, but there wasn't much corporate. And I was probably largely expected to play the wife role, right? I was raised very traditional, very conservative, very Catholic.
Okay.
So I don't know that I think that was kind of the fun of it is nothing was expected of me necessarily one way or the other. And I don't
Were you
mean
the
that
black
to be
sheep of the
rudely.
family?
I have opinions. No,
Were
no,
you
not the black sheep.
Were you gray?
I was great. No, I think I was my parents' difficult child.
Were you pink?
No, I was not pink.
Okay.
Not then. I was a tomboy. I think I'm probably still a tomboy.
Good grades.
Yeah,
nerdy.
But no, I mean, I was
hanging with the boys.
I had opinions. My parents largely, I think maybe because I was a fourth and I just worn them down, or they were worn out by that point, or whatever. I don't know. They let me kind of have more say in what I did as a kid than I think maybe my older siblings probably would have got to. So like I went to Catholic school in Abilene, St. Andrews, right by the Eisenhower Museum.
Okay.
For K through 5, and then I went to Chapman for 6th grade, and it didn't go very well. I was pretty bullied. Went to public school. I was very counterculture. You know, does that make sense?
Gotcha.
Like I grew up in this little this microcosm,
like a bubble.
the bubble that, you know. And I was outspoken, and and so it just, you know, I just didn't fit in.
You were watching Grease too much.
Apparently, I rubbed a lot. I don't know. I didn't fit in 6th grade, and so my parents let me make the choice to homeschool for 7th and 8th, which was middle school in Chapman. And so I homeschooled, and my parents were traveling all over that time. My siblings were either self-sufficient or out of the house. My older siblings were out of the house, and so they basically made my little brother homeschool with me, which did not go as well. But I was very self-driven. I would sit down and do my homework and get it done, and we could travel. My parents had bought a motorhome at that point, and they could travel for their businesses, and I could get my homework done. So it was a pretty great experience for 7th and 8th. I really enjoyed that. It kind of let me go through that awkward time and be myself. So then I decide I want to go back to high school. And so I show up to driver's ed. My best friend, the one I've talked about a few times, so she's apparently on my mind today, from high school. She tells the story of me showing up to driver's ed, which is the summer before high school. No one's really seen me in 2 years. I've never been a part of this world, right? Like
right.
And so I show up. We had went to New York City that summer on vacation or over the winter, and my mom had let me go shopping in the fashion district. And I was coming into my own, and I bought giant platform heels, and I bought long jeans. And I just was very ahead of my time fashion-wise, which was not normal for me. Normally I'm a t-shirt and jeans kind of girl even then, but I had went to the fashion district. I'd bought all these cool clothes, and I showed up to driver's ed in still like big, tall, you know, platform shoes. And I rocked driving the platform shoes. And I just, and the New York fashion was so far ahead of Chapman, Kansas.
Yeah, right.
So I probably looked like I was coming from the moon. But I was confident enough that
Have
I didn't care.
Have you ever seen the movie Sweet Home Alabama?
That was probably how I looked.
Very similar.
So I remember, like, my friend tells me the story of, like, you came in and you're just like, you're wearing these platforms and you're super confident. She goes, and you stuck out your hand and you're like, hi, I'm Leslie. Well, different last name at the time. Yeah, hi, I'm Leslie. And that was just, I didn't know I was being different. You know, does that make sense? I've just kind of always been different. And it worked then for me. I found a great group of girlfriends. I found my Julie. And, you know, I did well during high school. I cheered. I was more in the loop. You know, does that make sense? I was in all the clubs. I was running all the clubs. Like, I really kind of thrived in high school.
And you probably didn't have to be told. Were you pretty independent?
Oh, 100%.
Like,
I had to be.
Very self-sufficient.
Oh, yeah. My parents were not hands-on
they were
parents. They were busy. They were
out.
running. Mom was working. I mean, I think people would probably say, oh, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, but that was not true. She was running the office, the backseat. You know, does that make, like any small business. She's behind the scenes running, paying bills. Working 10, 12-hour days. So, no, very independent. And so very self-motivated, anything. And they never asked. And it's not a slight against them, but they never asked, hey, did you get your homework done? It was not a priority.
Right.
There was none of that. So it was all me. So, yeah, I was the nerd that would start studying for my finals like 2 weeks early. Like, I'd sit at our dining room table and I'd go back through what worked out.
Since we're on the topic of entrepreneurs, I got to take just 1 minute to thank Matt and Natalie InBody from Vortex Air Duct Cleaning Services, who I believe you recently used on a rental property.
Yes, we had a crazy mold thing we didn't know. You know, you don't know what you don't know in the crawl space, and they came through and did a fantastic job of cleaning out the crawl space and
everything out of it, all
the vents, and did a great job.
Well, they are all about clean air, so I got to give them a quick shout out because they're a sponsor for the show. Right. So if you're really concerned about healthier living and what you're breathing in when you're in your house, Matt and Natalie InBody at Vortex keep your home fresh with expert duct cleaning and air quality solutions. They have given me, they've actually shown me pictures of what they suck out of the air duct systems in some of these houses. You don't want to know. I'll just spare you the details. If you have a little extra money and you want to get your air ducts just sucked out, call them. Matt and Natalie, tell them Mortgage Punk sent you and tell them to hook you up. They're awesome. We know them personally. They're just fantastic people and great entrepreneurs. So, so you come from entrepreneurship. Did it ever bother you to see your parents gone?
No,
Because I'm sure they were
a kid.
like burning the candle.
They were. They traveled all over the world.
Yep.
Yeah. But what's funny about childhood, good and bad, right? Is you don't know what's different or weird until you're an adult.
Right.
I didn't know.
You don't have anything to compare
I had
it
nothing
to.
to compare it to, especially the fact that I went to so many different schools and I got to try a little bit of everything.
Right.
So, so it kind of segues into my college. I kill it in high school.
Yep. You get really good grades.
And I want to win at everything, So
Yes.
I wanted to win all the scholarship competitions. And so I ended up competing for the big scholarships here at Wichita State. Everyone in my high school 90% probably went to K-State.
Right.
It's in their backyard, agricultural, and then KU, maybe some Fort Hays. And then, a smattering of that. I was the only kid that went to Wichita State, and it's because I won a full ride.
Okay.
I won the Frangibarra Scholarship in Entrepreneurship. Wow. It totally changed my trajectory because I was probably one of those kids that was going to go to college for that year experience, for the dorm, because there's more to education than just the books.
Yeah.
Now,
the experience.
Yeah, there's the experience. And so I was probably one of those kids that was probably going to go for the experience because I didn't need a full ride to be an entrepreneur.
Did you know?
I didn't need a 4-year degree.
Did you think that's what you're going to do? Did you think when you graduated high school, okay, now I'm going to probably follow in my parents' footsteps and start a business of some kind?
Yeah. I mean, there was 2 constants in my life. The only 2 things I've ever really been super rock solid on was I was going to work for myself, but I didn't want to manage employees, and I didn't want to own anything bricks and mortar. So that narrowed it down pretty quick. And I want to be a mom. These are the only 2. I would have begged, borrowed, stolen children.
So you had a clear vision.
Those are the 2 things
from
that
the
have
very
been
beginning.
Pillars of my life.
Leslie, let's talk about the statement you just made, because it sounds to me like you had a pretty clear vision. That's what I would call it.
That's
right out of high school. Right? Or
yeah.
really out of high school, college. Yeah. And that
2
was
non-negotiables.
2 non-negotiables.
Yeah.
Be a mom.
Yep.
And run your own show.
Yeah.
Without a bunch of people. Mm-hmm. You just want to be independent, self-sufficient.
Yep.
And no brick and mortar, you said.
Yeah, I mean, that probably could. Okay, so that's kind of the next thing is I won that scholarship.
Because that's an interesting.
I won that scholarship for the entrepreneurship. And that was kind of what cemented, like, I can go to college and study what I already know what I want to do. I didn't know that was a degree. And I think it's become much more of a degree.
Yeah, it's probably a very new thing.
But it was newer. And there was a Center for Entrepreneurship that Devlin sponsored, Tom Devlin Center for Entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. And so it just kind of all clicked, right? Like working so hard in high school allowed all these opportunities to present themselves. And then I worked hard and I was summa cum laude through college. Like, I mean, I'm just one of those people, like, if I'm going to put my mind to it, I'm going to do it right.
Do you think that how important do you think it is to have a vision and to know exactly what you want to do and where you're going? How would you speak to that?
I mean, it's been my guiding principles, I guess, for lack of a better term. Like, here's how I make my decisions. Does it fit with what I want to do? And sometimes there's willy-nilly things, right? Like,
but you knew what you wanted to do.
But I knew those 2 things.
How?
I didn't know anything else.
Have you ever met a young person that when you ask them, what do you want to do now? They'll say, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Most of them. I was weird. I've always been weird. I mean, I've always thought weird. I've always had opinions. What do you think the difference
is? Do you think there's something that shapes or forms?
I mean, my parents talked a lot about business and running all of that. And so that probably affected that.
Okay.
But I don't know. Those are just the 2 things that everything work-wise and my choice-wise has always come back to those 2 things. So.
Did your siblings have the same very clear?
No.
Interesting.
No, I was, like I said, I'm a little bit of a odd duck.
Yeah, you're probably
the difficult child.
I think that's super important, honestly, because
I think I was lucky to have those, but I wouldn't have known that, right? That's at 42 looking back.
Yeah. So you knew you wanted to be in business. You knew you wanted to be a mom. Mm-hmm. You win a scholarship.
Right.
To WSU.
Yep.
Full ride.
Right.
So you didn't have to pay for anything.
Yeah. So then it kind of made me stay too.
So that brought you to Wichita, Kansas.
It brought me to Wichita. Yeah.
What did you have to take? Was there a certain degree path that you had to take, or did you have to go to Wichita?
But it was real estate. Entrepreneurship was my degree.
Okay.
That makes sense. So you had to pick like a secondary program. So I quickly realized,
real estate.
Yeah, I picked real estate. And so then I got to study the phasing, Wichita State's real estate school.
Yeah.
And it was kind of geared more towards commercial. Like I probably don't use a lot of what I learned those 4 years. There's a lot of math. There's a lot, and that is not residential real estate.
Right.
But I was falling in love with Wichita at that time. I was really loving the city life. And I always thought I'd go back to a small town. Now Wichita feels small. That's fine. I mean, I guess I technically live in a small town. I actually live in the middle of the country now. But I was falling in love with Wichita. I was falling in love with real estate, and I was falling in love with, what was be my father, my children.
What made you pick real estate?
Exactly those two reasons.
What was the appeal?
Literally, it was low barrier to entry, and I was broke.
Okay.
I was young. I was broke. I was hungry. I was willing to work.
Meaning that you could make money at it fairly quick,
right?
Without having to.
I didn't have to start a business.
Spend a bunch of money.
I didn't have to write a business plan. I didn't have to give an investors. That's the brick and mortar, right? I didn't have to and I didn't have a great idea. I'm not creative.
So you just wanted to go in low capital.
Yes.
Very little capital.
Yes. Because I didn't have a great idea.
Some kind of a business.
And I didn't want to go buy a franchise. I didn't want to get investors to go buy a franchise. If I'd had some great idea, I would have totally sold it, but I don't.
Yeah.
I didn't. So
that's what. Yeah. So real estate became the narrowed down option.
My college boyfriend, we met right away. He's also a Jabera scholar. So there you go. He went real estate. So he was going commercial, and he knew he was going commercial. And especially 20 years ago, that was much more male dominated.
Right. I can see that.
And I probably still is, but less, I think, from what I observed from the outside looking in. And then residential was, I could get started, I could do it, I could get my feet in.
Yeah.
And it was the female dominated industry. And so we could run that together. And so it was just, like I said, all these things were just kind of clicking. And
wow. Interesting.
And that's it.
So how many classes do you have to take at WSU for real estate?
Oh, I have no idea now. I would
have known. Did you get your license?
You did not have to get your license. It was it was math heavy. It was development heavy. It was
architecture, engineering.
It was very much more the commercial,
investor,
NOI, all these things. Now I'm I've joked for 20 years now. I have a degree in real estate, basically. I mean, it's entrepreneurship with emphasis in real estate, but I have a degree in psychology or something like that would have actually been so much more beneficial for working in residential real estate. I'm in the middle of everyone's marriage. I'm raising other people's babies.
Yes.
I am working them through trusts and life choices.
Yeah.
So,
because those are the triggers. You're talking about all the major life event triggers,
pleasure, right?
That create real estate.
And then you're trying to get two people who are often very different in different stages of their marriage, different stages of healthy marriages, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times we're working with couples, not always married, but And how do I get them to make the same decision? How do I get them to make the decision that's right for them and their family? So the psychology or doing my sister's route, the marriage and family therapy, probably would have been much more beneficial. I have a degree of life, I guess, on that respect.
So since we're talking about commercial real estate, that was your husband's direction in college.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to take a minute here because I gotta give a shout out to Joe Warren from the Warren family. You know the Warrens.
I do.
They are very commercial and real estate driven people.
Yes.
All
the facets.
They are very very instrumental in a lot of the development in Derby.
Yes.
And I'm a Derby dude, and you're not too far from us.
I'm not too far now.
But just want to give a shout out to Joe Warren. He took over a company called Quality Granite, so he's the new captain of the ship. So he does countertops. So if you're looking at doing any kind of a home remodel, from countertops to quality granite, crafted stone, transforming a kitchen, a bathroom, outdoor spaces, and making them showpieces.
Yeah.
Joe Warren is the dude for that. All the sponsors that I've got for the show are people that I know personally. So as I'm promoting them, I'm not just promoting someone to you guys watching just for the sake of promoting or having a sponsor. These are just great people that have good reputations in our community and do a good job. So anyhow, thank you, Joe, for sponsoring the show. And if you need those services, call Joe, tell him Mortgage Punk sent you. So anyhow, all right. All right. So you just you have a very definitive trajectory. Like
it's worked out that way.
You knew you wanted to do business. You watched your parents do business.
Yeah.
You went straight and got a business scholarship, picked real estate, and you've been at it ever since.
Yeah. I've been at it since my junior year of college.
Which was what year?
That would have been 2004.
2004. So you've seen market ups and downs, haven't you?
I think we just did our 5th federal election in my career. those could go away. Meaning what they do to the business.
They all seem to affect the markets,
and
right?
I don't know why. I mean, like our local races should have so much more of an effect than that. But yeah, so I started selling. I was just so eager and so ready to get on with life. So hungry.
Yeah.
And started working full time for Ritchie Development.
Okay.
Under Melinda Cryer-Peffley, who has been a friend and a mentor my entire business.
Where'd that connection come from? College or
friends? Right. Okay. It's all about working your network. So, so just being in the entrepreneurship department, being in the business, one was a friend who grew up in the Amway business with me. We were friends from childhood.
Okay.
Who came to Wichita State. Also studied entrepreneurship after me. He's younger than me. Became a good friend, and he started working there. But it was all, honestly, through Brandon Baker. Brandon Baker was a good friend through college and still is to this day.
Wow.
So he worked at Ritchie under Galen Longhofer, who's still a friend, still a mentor.
And you're in new home sales.
Yeah.
You're sitting in a model home.
I mean, I needed a job.
Right.
Well, I didn't need one. I had a full ride. I could do any job. I could have, made Subway
this is in
sandwiches.
04.
Yeah, this is 04. So I went working full time for Ritchie.
Okay.
And worked in a few of their developments, one of them being Monarch Landing, which was just selling like gangbusters.
Oh, yeah.
And Melinda did a fantastic
job. What a
job.
great development to land.
I think at its time, it was the fastest selling development in Wichita history. I don't know if it's still if it still holds that title.
How many
at that time,
home sites are
300?
in 300.
Give me, 20 years, give my brain a little break here. But they were selling like crazy. And so she had a couple different assistants. So I started there. And so I'd worked full time. And then Wichita State, weirdly, is great for people who want to work full time because I could go to class at night. And K-State, KU, none of my friends could do that. Whereas I could go to class at night with all these returning students.
Wow.
And I could get my classes in. So I maxed out the hours, and I still would go hang out and I'd party. You know, I had a lot of fun.
We know you have a wild card in you.
It was brief, but yeah.
with your platform shoes.
Yes, I have a flair for
You
ridiculousness.
You do.
No, I'm not really wild, but
That's good,
I had
though.
a flair for ridiculousness.
It makes you who you are. That's why we love you.
Yeah, I show it once in a while. So anyway, so that's what I did. And so I was a realtor and selling real estate full time.
You're probably making less, right? Because you're in new home sales.
Yeah, it was hourly.
Don't you have a
I was
lower
an assistant.
Okay.
Does that make sense? It was hourly.
Gotcha.
I opened the doors.
So you
I turned
started
on light.
the bot. I mean, you pretty much entry level as far as real estate.
Yes.
I mean,
I had no network in
the
Wichita.
closest thing to
I had
it.
no sphere.
Right.
That's really, I think, kind of my story is starting in real estate at 20, being a broke college kid. Yes, I got a full ride, but
you still got to make a living and pay bills and eat.
That's my story is I didn't know anyone. I didn't know anyone to sell houses to. I wasn't a multi-generational family from here. I mean, I had a smattering of my parents' friends that lived somewhere, but I started my community from scratch. I mean, I was a country bumpkin, and I'm not kidding. I was pretty fair.
How important do you think that, I mean, I know a lot of things are possible that seem impossible, but if you're speaking to someone that's new in real estate and has maybe someone who relocated here has no network, what would you tell them to do? Because to get into real estate, I think you need a network of some kind. Or you better go build one fast.
Yeah,
if you don't have one.
I mean, it was a 5 to 6 year plan. I mean, it was not a plan. There wasn't a plan. There was a 5 to 6 year window before I was probably making enough money that I was even living. I had if that makes sense.
Wow.
So
did you have mentors?
Yeah, so I worked for Melinda for the 2 years, and like I said, was good friends with Brandon Baker. And, of course, we ran into each other at Heroes downtown.
Heroes.
That's a flashback. And he said, hey, are you ready to come work? Because he'd went over to Cindy Carnahan's by that point.
Okay.
But the Carnahan Group.
Yep.
And he's obviously still there, killing it, running things, I think.
Yep.
I said, yeah. He's like, call me Monday. And, so then that's literally
so you're around some good people. I mean,
whoever your
friend. Have you ever thanked your friend for linking you up with a really good quality group of real estate professionals?
I think when you're real and genuine, you attract people like you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you always attract people like you, but I think I've sometimes been lucky to attract people who are real and genuine, and Brandon's one of those people.
Yeah.
So I went to work
because you couldn't have hit a bigger real estate group.
Absolutely.
In
so
Wichita.
I went to work for Cindy. I was her closing coordinator, one of them.
Okay.
And I called that my graduate degree in real estate because for the next 2 years, my job, she would get something sold, and she's good at it. Hundreds of deals a year. And it's always been good. It's still good at it. She'd come in and be like, all right, get that closed. Let me know if you need me, kind of vibe. And so me and Judy Van Landingham, who's now with the title company, we were peas in a pod, right? So I trained underneath her. So for 2 years, that's what I did. As I learned how to do. So I learned how to do the seller side of the business from Richie, because all you're doing is seller, right? You're doing builder, and you're doing the seller, and you know the seller side in and out, but you know buyer representation, when at least with that, where that was how that company operated at that time. Obviously,
now you got buyers with the Carnahan
so
group.
then it was doing both, and it was really like the inspection side and learning the inspections. You going to sit through inspections? I mean, hundreds a year.
Sure.
And
it's a little different than new construction.
Oh, very
that's
different.
a punch list.
And it's keeping it together, and it's and knowing they're going to do it. And it was the negotiation, and so that I joke that's the graduate degree I have is 2 years under Cindy doing that. So after 2 years, I was ready to work for myself. I worked for her full time, and then would sell in my free time. You know, like we were married at that point. We didn't have any kids, and we were just both trying to scrape it together, make it happen.
So you pretty much landed. So your first job, you landed with one of the top builders in our market.
New home
then
agent, she kills
you
it.
got recruited to work for one of the top realtor producers in our entire market. So
and she was hiring pretty heavily at that time out of the entrepreneurship department. So Katie Brown,
that's amazing,
was at the same era as me, and we were all entrepreneurship kids. Some of us were still in school, and so then her son Clark came on, and that's a setup for success. Well, I would say, that's kind of like the Yale and Harvard. For those of you watching, she kind of got the Yale and Harvard of real estate groups and people. And I just lucked into our market, in our small Wichita market. But I didn't know, right? You didn't know how to put that in context or who you were really connecting with. So anyway, and so I still owe them world. I was 8 years after that. I stayed with them until I was 10 years. So 8 years I sold underneath her. That makes sense. And did a very good book of business. Had both my kids at that time. How many years with Richie Development? 2. 2, and then 8 with the Carnahan Group. 10. So 10 years. Group. Yeah, this is my 22nd year in real estate, because I have 10 years now as my own. So you really had 12 years training of like building a foundation. Yeah. So not really building a name, because no sales went underneath me. There was no marketing. My face was in the ads, but so not really building the marketing side. But I was chasing my own deals. There wasn't a whole lot getting fed to us at that point, because she was still actively selling. So, we chased a cold call here or there, but really starting from scratch on building my community, my sphere. So a lot of it was who I knew in college, and that's still a good book of business. I joined Junior League Wichita, which is Cindy's recommendation, and it has been one of the greatest joys of my adult life is being an involved in community groups. But Junior League specifically. Okay. Just you meet a group of women who want to make the world better for the sake of making the world better. We're involved and active and motivated. They're influential people. They have big networks. They know how to connect people. Your sphere was even within the league. It's not like I'm hanging out with all the people that have their names on the buildings in Wichita. They're there at those meetings, but I'm hanging out with the same people my age. We're making. So you know what I love about your story. You were just set up. Like you took the successful route, like you took the same road that someone who wants to be an engineer goes to a great engineering school, gets recruited by a great engineering group, and literally just has the red carpet rolled out. Took you a while. It was slow. It was a slow build. It still is. I think that's what I told you when I walked in today was like, well, and seeing other people's success or like listening to Lacey's story on your podcast, it was, I've done okay. I could have done a hell of a lot better, like I've done as much as I can with what I want, but it's still, when I think back and I sit within myself, it is matched up with what my philosophy is. I've worked for myself, made a life for my family, and I've been able to be the mom I want to be. So speaking of new home construction, because you worked for Richie Development, got to take a minute to thank my business partner, Travis Whistler, who owns TW Custom Homes. Mm-hmm. If you can dream it, he'll design it. He's got a good product. He does a really good job building really custom homes in all price ranges, but he can really build anything from a starter home to a middle of the road all the way to $1 million luxury home in Wichita. He does a really good job. I'm thankful for him. He's one of the sponsors for the show. That's awesome. So if you're looking for a builder and you want to build a brand new home, new construction, reach out to Travis Whistler at TW Custom Homes. Tell him Mortgage Punk sent you, and he'll design it. He'll get you all squared away, sit down, and put a plan together and build your dream home. So, Travis, thanks for sponsoring the show, brother. Yeah, awesome.
I love that you got new construction background because
Yeah.
I've got new construction.
Yeah,
But I worked for
absolutely.
Lennar, so I
Yeah,
worked for a
totally
big,
different
you know,
vibe, probably.
different vibe,
Yeah.
national home builder, you know, publicly traded company where like at Lennar, you know what's crazy
It's just
about
insane.
the publicly traded builders compared to what I've
'Cause
learned
we don't
now
really
here in
have them
Wichita?
here.
No, we're too small.
Just okay with me.
But like when you're working for a Lennar, they own they own the mortgage company, the title company, the GCs are on staff. You know,
They
like
control
literally they
everything from
control
start to
everything vertically
So
from top to
if it
bottom.
screws up, they only have themselves to blame.
They only have themselves to blame. But that's what I like about your story is it's just it just reminds me of like just someone who's just literally has a road charted out for success at something.
And if you knew me, you would be surprised that I was able to stay in anything for 20 plus years. Like it's just I wouldn't have seen this for myself. Does that make sense? Like this was just going to be
But
the
you
starter.
attracted it.
I attracted
That's what you said.
I put it out there.
You're that
it's
kind of
matched
person,
up with my
right?
granite or my pillars of granite. I was talking about your granite guy.
Yeah.
But you know, it's matched up with what I've needed, and so that's why I've stayed in it. But like, yeah, I probably have a touch of the ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I never finished an instrument. I started 6. I can't play an instrument. I've started languages. Like, so it's interesting to me that it has played out that way.
Why do you think that is? What has kept you that laser? Because you've been pretty laser focused.
Yeah.
From college.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
What do you think does that?
I attribute some of it to my ex-husband.
Okay.
I mean, great guy. We shouldn't be married, and we're not.
Hence the ex, right?
But he
must have rubbed off you in a positive way
did.
somewhere.
Yeah. We kind of grew up together. We met when we were 18.
Right.
And we were together 18 years.
At WSU?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So he was very laser focused, still is, does great business. But, you know, just kind of taught me that consistency that I didn't get in my childhood.
Right.
But yeah, so I think some of that, but then it comes back to when I was able to choose, I already had a great business.
Yeah.
I've got something that's I know how to do well.
What motivates? Something
must
have motivated you.
It still matches with what I need. I want to run my own business.
Which I'm doing.
And
you're doing a fantastic job at it.
Thank you. And I want to be there for my kids. And so I even said this when I was like 20, starting real estate. Like, why do you want to get into real estate? And I'm like, well, I want to be at all my kids' events. And that's probably his reaction to my childhood because my parents were so busy. They weren't. My mom's not the room mom kind anyway, which is fine.
Right.
We like to go trips now. But, but I wanted to be. I wanted to do something different. I wanted that experience. I want to be there for my kids. Now they're kind of annoyed and they're like, Mom, don't come to volunteer for school. And I'm like, oh no, I'm coming
phone down.
I have put my whole career on the line so that I can show up at your events and I'm going to be there. And now I get to do that with my stepkids too.
That's
so
awesome.
That is kind of, I would say that's probably what's kept me in it is nothing else allows me, not a lot of freedom, right? You work 365, 24/7. I'm probably up in the stands
you
texting
have
clients,
enough of a desire.
But I want to be able to go, I blocked out this time and I'm at my kids' school. I'm at my kids' events. I'm at Friday Night Lights watching the marching band.
Even though your mom wouldn't have been. What do you think? Like, what would you say to someone who's younger? Maybe you're a real estate agent watching this interview and you're hearing Leslie's story, who's a successful realtor in the Wichita market. Like, how would you help someone to really nail down what it is they want to do? Because there's so many young people, so many young professionals that kind of almost don't even know the answer. They're just kind of.
Well, I mean, it's hard, but I guess I would try to go, what is the key thing in your life? Right? Like, so my stepdaughter's going off to college.
You take the money off the table and just ask yourself the
person's
question,
not in your
what
world,
do
this
I want to do?
influential person, what do you want to do? What's the most important thing to you? Boil it down to the one thing that if I get
keep
to
it simple.
Yeah, absolutely. If I did not do this before I died, or I did not achieve this,
I would regret it.
Put some kind of stick in the ground, and then you build from there.
I like it. Because otherwise, if you don't have a vision, then you really don't know where you're going. You're kind of driving around in circles in the dark.
And it would be really easy to
hopefully
change
you'll find your way somewhere.
This year, oh my God. Like, I mean, so I went full-time sales in 08, and then 09 hit.
Man. That's when you broke off from the Carnahan group?
No, I stayed at the Carnahan group, but I was full-time Eat What You Kill commission.
Wow.
That was fun.
08.
08. It was awesome.
Were you doing a lot of foreclosures?
Not in 08. 08 was great.
It was
fantastic.
after that.
09 and 10. Luckily, I was young. I don't say that a lot about real estate because I think it was actually really hard that I started so young.
But you didn't have a lot to lose, probably.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot to lose. We didn't have kids yet. And everyone I knew was first-time home buyers. So 09 and 10, my friends were winning, and I was helping them. So, I mean, I would say it was still rough. I mean, if I go back, I have all my sales back then. I have it all tracked. I have a spreadsheet.
How did you do that year? You did great in 08?
I did
okay.
I lived. Right?
What about in 09 and 10?
Great. No, that's what I'm saying. 9 and 10, I think the only thing that kept me alive is that my friends were all first-time home buyers. So I was like, hey, guys, come on. You know, we were a couple years out of school by that point. You know, my cronies from college.
But the market was,
yes, it was a good time to buy. And if you were a first-time home buyer, they were giving you money to buy.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a lot of first-time home buyer friends.
Interest rates were about where they are now then.
And you did it first and seconds back then.
Yeah, that's right. But in 09 and 10, I think rates went to 6.75 or something.
Absolutely.
Almost hit 7%.
But houses were a third of the cost too.
Right.
None of my friends were buying much over 100,000. Now I don't know what you get for 100,000, but it's
now
not
it's
much.
250 is the 100,000 back then.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's wild. So Leslie, in the last 12 months, you've hit about 15 million in production, roughly something to that in that range. Mm-hmm. If you're watching the show here, that's a really good level of production. If you're not a realtor and you're watching this show and you're trying to find a really good realtor, that's about the production level of an agent that has a really good team, has just a very strong business. You really can't be hitting those production numbers
consistently
unless you're a very serious, full-time, committed real estate professional.
Yeah, you can do it once, but you're not doing it twice.
So congratulations to you.
Well, thank you.
Those are good numbers.
As a realtor and as a driven person, I'm like, well, I could do better, but it's fine.
We all are like that. And you are. You're stride. I watch it.
Yeah.
I know where you're wanting to go.
Yeah.
But still, those are numbers to be proud of.
Oh,
they're awesome. Because the average realtor doesn't even maybe one.
I think it's
million,
2.5 homes a year is the average realtor sells.
About $1 million or less.
Yeah. I don't know how that even pays the fees
to even be a realtor.
Because they're kind of high. I think.
What's the biggest challenge? So you went into real estate, eat what you kill, full time for yourself in 08. What's the darkest moment in your career from that time until now?
Awfully dark. I forget dark things. I think that's a good skill.
You space them out?
Yeah. Hannah's always like, oh, that realtor was hard to work with, or that client was better, or, oh my God, you don't remember that time that you got the snake in the crawl space?
Have you had a moment where you're like, oh my goodness, I might sink, like this whole thing the ship may go down?
No
moments like that.
No moments like that, but that's because I've minded the store. It's a business.
Mm-hmm.
I have always lived below my means. I still live below my means. I want to invest. I want to travel. I want to retire early. So I have never put myself in a situation where I couldn't live on practically nothing.
Okay. You think you got that from your parents?
And my ex-husband.
And your ex-husband. He's played a big role in your life. Shout out to the ex, by the way.
No, absolutely. I mean, it was a lot of, just living below your means, making sure. And yes, absolutely growing up the way I grew up too.
And just running a good business.
Yeah.
Do you track a P&L?
Yes.
You do. That separates the decently good average from the top.
Yeah, I mean, because I run this like a business.
Good.
It is, yes, I eat what I kill, so I never know what I'm going to kill. And I know that's crass, but I think it puts it into perspective. There's no money coming in if I don't go do it.
Right.
I tried to have a team for a while where I was helping agents, and so I thought that would help cushion that. And the reality is, I don't know, for whatever reason.
Time out.
Yeah. I mean, for the reality is, I know how to sell real estate. I know how to go after it. I know how to make friends. I know how to follow up. I know how to do this.
So what's a couple things that you do to mind your business, manage your P&L, that you do consistently and regularly that's gotten you through every market shift, change, up, down, and everything in between, twist and turn? Like how could you encourage someone, I guess, watching this episode?
I think it's really easy to fall into the trap, especially in residential real estate, especially in the top 100, the top 300, to have an image, to have the Range Rover. Right. If you can afford a Range Rover and your dream's a Range Rover, sure. Or to live on the $1 million lake house, or put your kids all in private school, whatever your expenses are, right? And maybe you want to do all those things, great. Right. But if you spend everything you make, you have to make that.
Right.
And you have to have control of that. And I have a control this big. I have influence over some things, and then there's a lot of things outside of my control.
So you leave a lot. So you live below your means and leave a lot of margin.
Yeah.
A lot of room and a lot of margin
invest
for
early,
your
invest
income
often.
to do whatever and it not touch that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my advice.
That's great. That's really
I think
good
it's
advice.
really easy to be flashy in this business to try to keep
do you
up
need
with
to
the
do
Joneses.
That? Do you think you need to do that?
I think.
You think people
there's
care?
Some of that.
Do you think people?
I mean, if no one cared what I looked like, yeah, I would be
To a
driving
degree.
a 20-year-old car. I'd be wearing jeans and a t-shirt. I wouldn't have my nails done. I wouldn't have done my hair today.
Right.
Because I'm a tomboy farm girl.
Sure.
I mean, that's my roots. But no, so there is some image. My business, I'm selling my abilities. I'm selling my brain. I'm selling my reputation.
Yeah.
And all of it plays. And all of it has to. So I get that. But if that's what you want out of your realtor, then it's not me.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's just not me. So that would be my advice.
I got to do one last shout out, Leslie, to Daniel Keeley. You know Daniel Keeley?
Yeah.
Okay.
Roofer.
Do you work? Have you worked with him?
I have.
You have?
Yeah.
Does he do a good job?
Yeah. He's very thorough.
Yeah.
Very good.
He is very thorough. So Daniel Keeley is another entrepreneur in our market. He owns Keeley Roofing. So if you've got storm damage, leaks, gutter problems, or you need an upgrade or a new roof, or you just want someone to come out and inspect your roof and make sure it's in good shape, he's a very honest, very, like you said, thorough business owner and just runs a great company. I highly, highly recommend Keeley Roofing. If you need anything done with your roof, just call Keeley, tell him Mortgage Punk sent you. Thanks for sponsoring, Daniel. So living below your means, that's what you would
how you
recommend.
ride out any storm.
Right.
When you're not in a industry. I mean, I don't know how many friends in the last 5 years I've had to lose their jobs. And they were used to living in that expectation. And they were putting money away in savings and all those things. But I think they had the false sense of security. And I think I've just
have
my
had
entire
real
adult
security.
Life realized there wasn't any.
And you think that's helped
selling,
you from, that's kept you from storms, it sounds like. Because when I asked you the question, what's one of the darkest hours in your business, you don't have like the...
Yeah, I mean, I don't like election years, interest rates going crazy. I mean, there's all these rough things. Yes, I lived through 08 and 09. I mean, really, it was like beginning of 13. I remember 2013 going... Because there's always backwards looking, right? And they mean like in terms of like, because you're like, your head down working, taking good care of people, loving on your clients, loving on your sphere. Yeah. And going, hey, 2012 didn't suck so bad. I mean, like, so, I mean, that's the little reality. People are like, oh, it's in the market. And I'm like, I don't know. I know what we're just coming through. My crystal ball is a little broken going forward. So yeah, I mean, if you want to be able to, there's no guaranteed security in this business. Which is good and bad.
Would you say that you're a big risk taker or a more conservative, calculated risk taker? Because to be in business requires an element of risk.
I know there's people who are bigger risk takers than me. Looking back, I wish I had taken more. I wish I had been a more aggressive investor personally, like real estate investor.
Yeah.
So yeah, hindsight's 2020. I would have done a lot more than that. But I'm fairly
aggressive. Do you
aggressive,
think you would have?
Taker. Yeah, no,
Or do you think that your level of risk would have always kept you from
there were some other things going on in my life that I didn't have 100% control of choices.
You didn't have the mind or the headspace to even focus on that.
Yeah, so
that sort of thing.
No, absolutely. I would have definitely been more of an investor, tried some more creative things, and I think that's a fantastic way.
Because you own rental properties.
I do. Always joke that's my retirement plan. Yes, I have money in the stock market. Yes, but like, there's no 401k, there's no pension from this business, and I think that is one of the reasons you see realtors. First of all, you can do it at a very long age, but I think that's one of the reasons you see realtors that are, they've been out at 30, 40, 50 years because they don't, if they didn't invest or they didn't, how do you get out? How do you go from this income to this income? There's no retirement plan.
I see what you're saying. You're saying the
realtors for me are my retirement plan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you think a lot of realtors don't do that. And so they got to keep going because if they quit, then their income quits the moment they quit. Yeah.
If they didn't invest, that's I've always joked. There's no retirement plan, so I'm making one.
Where do you want to be in the next 5 years? Where is your business? You do a really good job. Mm-hmm. You're a very smart. I think I'm going to name this episode "The Smart Real Estate Agent."
Oh, my son will totally roast me over that
title. Super
title.
Smart, super sharp, calculated risks, make good decisions. Like, haven't had a dark hour moment because you made a dumb decision. Like, you've really done a really good job at building. I
could have done more. I definitely could have been more aggressive, but it's been
steady,
good. It's been
steady, strong business, and you take really good care of your clients. I know that about you. You're sharp. You're an A++ student. So if I was selling my house, I'd want an A++ student. So Leslie, wrapping up, as we wrap up the show here, I just wanted to focus on, you've been at real estate for a long time collectively, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. So have I.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No,
look how young you look.
Well,
I mean, come on.
Well, it's because I started really young.
You've built your own business now for 16 years.
Yeah, been full-time sales for
16 years. Mm-hmm. And would you say that that your success, I know you were set up for success. That's what I love about your story. But
it's funny. I never would have thought that. So it's interesting. I'm like having to take that in and like.
Well, I feel like I like if I
wouldn't have said those.
If you were asked, if someone else asked me how'd your interview with Leslie Wessel go on the podcast, I would say Leslie Wessel. It reminds me, like her story reminds me of like someone who went to Harvard, like just.
That's very nice.
Well, I mean, you've been around those kinds of people is who you have been mentored by.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if you could compare their real estate businesses to a school, a college, I mean, they would be at the top.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so, and when I think about people who graduated from Harvard, like you go to Harvard, you're pretty much set up for success.
Yeah.
I mean, just because the caliber of people you're around, the caliber of professors. Right. I mean, it's just,
who you're rubbing shoulders with, if nothing else.
I mean, it's all,
absolutely.
Unless you're very, very, very dumb, which I don't think you would have gotten to Harvard to begin with.
Mom and Dad would have had to pay a lot of money for
you have your ticket paid for, and it'll be a successful one. I feel like that's your story. I mean, I feel like you got connected with a very influential builder in our community, and then one of the most influential real estate groups in our community. I mean, you've done really well.
Interesting, starting so young to then and have no sphere of influence, no community. I would say that is what I would have said my story is building that community from 20 on, from having no friends that couldn't afford to buy a house, barely begging my friends.
So you had to wait.
Yeah,
you
it was
had to wait.
It was slow, and it definitely hasn't been as meteoric as I've seen some other realtors do. So. Maybe my kids should take over and I could help them, but they probably don't want to. But that would be my stories. And then being back involved in the community has been a big part. I mean, it's literally why my tagline is community-driven realtors. But I never put it together.
Your tagline is what again?
Community-driven realtors.
Community-driven realtors.
Yeah, we're involved in the community. But it's interesting that looking back now through this process with you, going, I had to build my community. Now I go out and support the community, which is what that tagline's about.
Right.
But I had to build my community. And still building it. Still loving on people.
And it's not built on brick and mortar, just like you wanted. It's built on people. It's built on people.
It's built on people, and allows me to be a mom.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I love it.
That's my story.
How many kids do you have?
4 collectively. Yeah, I've got 2 biological and 2 stepkids.
Okay.
So,
and you have one that's you've told me a little bit about, who sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh, my older son. Yeah, he was roasting me really hard today. So,
he was.
Yeah, he does. He always does.
And what's his name again?
Caston.
Can I say his name on here?
Yeah.
Will he be Caston? How's it going? You got a great mom. She's done a very good job in business and in life, and I just appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your story.
Well, thank you.
I know it's going to encourage people. It's going to encourage people.
Wow.
Encourage people. I hope someone maybe young that's either thinking about going into real estate or young and in real estate and maybe frustrated, maybe take a step back and use some of Leslie's story.
Long term,
you know,
long term build, the long term business.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've done it right.
It's not a get rich quick.
Do you think a lot of people think that way?
I think they.
Yeah. You think that probably feeds a lot of
I think that's why there's so many realtors that come in and out of the business.
Expectations.
Yeah.
And people
there's
going
not a
out
lot
the
of
door.
barriers to entry.
Right.
Which could be good, but it also means there's not a
Can
lot of
also be
barriers
bad.
to entry. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But you got connected with the right groups. I mean,
I've been lucky.
Love it.
I'm blessed.
What's one thing that you could tell everyone watching this particular episode that you think would be the most encouraging thing, whether they're a realtor watching or maybe a home buyer or one of your clients?
You can't predict the market. You can't outthink it. You can't control it, whether you're the buyer or you're a realtor. So just put your head down. In terms of realtors, put your head down, do the work, do it for the right reasons. Take care of people, love on your team if you have a team, your staff. And then, I mean, that's the same thing. Like people in real estate, there's no perfect timing. There's no perfect house. Find good people that you know, like, and trust, and they will, hopefully lead you in the right way. But use a realtor that's got a good reputation. It would be, I guess, my advice there.
Yes.
Because
use a good realtor.
Yeah, and you can use me. It doesn't have to be
You
me.
could call Leslie Wessel,
but,
and she's super smart.
But I'm just saying, like, if you've got a good if you've got a good base and you've got a good business, then you know how to take care of people, and that's the name of the game.
So keep your nose to the grind. That sounds like a very Abilene, Kansas farmish girl
That's my
raised phraseology. Keep your nose to the grind. Don't focus so much on the market. It's always going to move, twist, turn, go up, down, and it'll drive you bananas.
Interest rates, all the things.
And take super good care of people.
Good care of people.
You're very simple, Leslie. I think that's very smart. I think it's smart. I'm learning from my business coach to be simple. Like, what do you want to do? Keep it simple. What's your vision? Keep it super simple. You had 2 pillars.
Yeah.
Be a mom, run your own business. So everything you do is simple. I think that's why you're successful. I think if you keep it simple, then you can be pretty laser focused. And don't you think?
Yeah. It helps me stay consistent.
So I think anyone watching could take that bit of information right there to heart and run with it and chase your dreams. Just keep your nose to the grind and don't look left or right. It takes daily
work. Yeah, I mean,
be laser focused. Don't look left, right.
There's no magic answer to this business.
Yeah.
It's showing up every day.
Well, I am super blessed to just have a friendship with you and just know that you're in our community and you do such a good job. So you're a contributor.
I try.
To our community. So thanks for being on the show, Leslie.
Thank
Love
you.
your story. Love you. Love your business. Thanks again.
Thank you.